That's Nick.
And that's Joseph. And today we're here to talk about The Lost Flowers of Alice Hart, Episode 2, Wattle, which will also be available to stream on Amazon August 4th, 2023.
Well, this episode was a doozy. Mm-hmm. I was not expecting this, and you're almost finished with the book. And this is where the series, really...
Wildly divergent paths in very interesting, very dark, and insidious ways.
So Alice meets the Flowers because now she's staying at Thornfield, Sigourney's manor, and the Flowers are the ladies who live there. Mm-hmm. Which I thought was a funny scene because Alice is looking at these ladies like she's afraid of them until she meets the younger one who kind of has a cool look. Candy Blue, who has blue hair. But she meets the ladies. And then we see Sigourney talking to the other lady.
Twig.
And she's like, we should tell Alice that her mom used to live here. And Sigourney's like, absolutely not.
Why would we do that?
Why are we not going to do this? Then we also see Sigourney receive the evidence box from the police with Clem and Agnes's belongings, and she tucks it away, never to be found again. Mm-hmm. Okay, Candy Blue,
played by Frankie Adams.
I like her, although I think because she's styled kind of like a pinup girl
from the 50s almost, yeah,
with this manic blue hair, lots of makeup,
kind of looking like Tia Carrere,
very done up, which I think is funny because she's in this hot ass kitchen in the middle of the outback.
Yeah, she doesn't work with the Flowers; she's the cook. And she's notably was also, we learned, was found by the river by Twig and June when she was a baby, abandoned there. And when Clem, Sigourney's son, was also young. So she grew up alongside him. But
she seems like trouble because immediately when she's alone with Alice, she's like, I'm your aunt, right? Mm-hmm. Well, not by blood, but, like you said, effectively adopted. And then out of the blue, she tells Alice, well, I can show you where the river is, as long as you promise to go straight there and back. So Alice goes to the river. And this little girl hears and sees something weird in the water. And what's the first thing she does? Take off her boots and jump in that water.
And then proceed to almost drown, which starts a flashback that we keep getting snippets of throughout the episode.
Oh my God, this poor girl. Well, let me finish. So then this boy,
Augie,
basically rescues her because in her flashback, she starts to panic in the water. And the boy Augie explains to Alice that he used to live with his mother at Thornfield, but now they've transitioned. And he's basically saying if Sigourney knew I was here, she'd probably kill me. I'm not kidding. She has a gun. But we see Alice go to school and the kids are bullying her.
Because she doesn't speak yet after the accident that claimed her parents.
And when they ask, where are you from? And her new friend Augie's trying to explain, she lives with the Flower, blah, blah, blah. And they're like, with the lesbians and the weirdos. Mm-hmm. And poor Augie tries to stick up for her. And this bully, punches Augie and knocks him down. But he chose the wrong one that day because Alice gets up and beats that boy to death, basically. But clearly demonstrating that...
It shows kind of the behavioral issues that children who suffer and experience abuse, I think, quite well, how they can react sometimes.
Yeah. Then, so John, Sally, the librarian, and John is her husband / the main cop in this little town. He takes it upon himself to pull Sigourney's criminal record, which he has no business doing. But he sees that her criminal record is very long. And then, even more inappropriately, shows it to his wife.
No, he doesn't show it. He just says there was a drunk driving charge from 12 years ago and some other stuff that's a little too complicated for me to tell you about.
But he shouldn't have told her any of that.
Right.
And because Sally already knows from episode 1 that she can have custody of Alice if Sigourney's unfit, now that wheel's turning. She gets in contact with an attorney. She actually calls Sigourney to basically threaten her. Mm-hmm. I know you're lying. Because Sally finds out that Alice has had one of her panic attacks. And she knows Alice is mute. And when she gets Sigourney on the phone, Sigourney's like, oh yeah, she's talking to me, which is a lie.
Chirping like a little bird.
And she goes, oh yeah, she hasn't had any panic attacks, but Sally knows that's a lie because she talked to someone at the hospital. So that's when Sally says, I'm just going to be transparent with you. I have custody of this kid in the event that you're not fit, and clearly you're not, because you're a liar and you have a criminal record, so I'm going to pursue this. But here's where shit gets real wild. Sigourney's criminal record showed that she had all these assaults. But then at a point where John tells Sally, like, she's not violent. She's actually the victim. And then prior to that, we saw Candy go to a bar and meet a guy. Like, flirting with him. And this guy follows her home. And we find out that that guy followed her on purpose because he's an abuser. And one of the women, so then we find out, it's not explained explicitly, but it's clear that Thornfield is like a battered women's shelter, or for women who may have like, it's a battered women's shelter.
Yeah, it's for women that have nowhere else to go.
Right.
Thornfield actually welcomes them. Puts
A
them
safe
up.
haven.
Mm-hmm.
So this man followed Candy home to Thornfield because it's supposed to be a secret where these shelters are, right? And he leaves a gift for one of the ladies who's staying there to show that I know where you are.
It's the wedding ring.
And it's their wedding ring that's been broken.
And that woman says, she alludes to the fact, because one of the rings is cut, and she said that he cut off her finger.
But here's the part that got me. Then we cut to Sigourney at the bar. Like she goes to a bar to confront this man. And at first he thinks he's flirting with her. So he's like, I'm not into you, like buzz off. And she's like, oh yeah, you probably like younger women, younger pregnant women who wear red lipstick who you like to punch. And that's when the guy is like upset. And she's trying to provoke him, but he just walks away. But then when she gets outside the bar, that man approaches her and beats her up. Mm-hmm. I was not expecting that. It was hard to watch.
It was hard to watch. Well, it's hard to watch a woman like Sigourney Weaver be... But you can tell that's her MO. So that's why she's the victim in all these assaults. She uses herself as
a punching bag
so that these men,
these abusers will
be hauled away again, and then of course.
So she presses charges, and that's her game. Mm-hmm. And that is not in the book at all.
That is not in the book. No. Well, I have 100 pages left, and that is no. And also, she has this. It looks like a burned out tree stump, which there's a picture, there's a face of her screaming carved into this tree where she forbids Alice to go. And we see her add another notch to the tree to signify that she has done this many times before. And most likely to cover up some guilt for other things that have happened that we don't yet know about.
Another bomb that's dropped is... So Sally and John, the librarian and the cop, they have this kid, Gemma, who we're told has died. Mm-hmm. And John is still questioning her, like, why did you lie to me about your relationship with Agnes? And what are you not telling me? And she's like, nothing, I really didn't know.
I met her at our child's funeral, blah, blah, blah.
So John comes home one day and Sally's sitting in the living room with a sculpture in the middle, like on the coffee table.
The one that ended episode 1. Mm-hmm.
And he's like, what is this? What's going on? And he has a sense of like, you know, why is there this, like, Clem? Why did Clem make a sculpture of our daughter? And she gives him that look like, you know why. And he's like, I need you to say it. Their daughter is Clem's baby, not John's.
Which explains why that little girl in the photos looks like Alice.
Which is why the two girls look the same. That took me out. I was not expecting that. Mm-hmm. Then,
but we're left. We're not sure if Sally was raped by Clem, if that was consensual.
No, we don't know.
I'd imagine the former, but I'm sure we'll find that out.
And the episode ends with little Alice rummaging through some books at Thornfield. Oh, because she straight up asks Sigourney. Well, she's mute, so she's like writing on a paper. She asks Sigourney, "Was my mom ever here?" And this lady lies to her face and says no.
She goes, no.
So at the end, Alice is rummaging through some books and she sees, I think it's Alice in Wonderland, that book. Mm-hmm. And in the book, when she opens it, she sees that Clem, her dad, wrote a note to Agnes saying how much he loves her and how his world's changed now that she's at Thornfield. So Alice knows that Sigourney lied to her. So the final shot is her looking at Sigourney and like fantasizing that she set the house on fire.
Mm-hmm. She's a little fire starter.
Yes. Yeah. So this episode really kicked it up a notch.
Yeah, it did, and there are 5 more to go. And I'm actually even more excited as this continues. Again, because as I've mentioned for the review for episode 1, I am not a fan of the book per se. So this is quite a different interpretation and how it's put together. I'm very much enjoying. I mean, you know, in one sense, it's kind of a bit of a soap opera, but I think very...
Well, I like that kind of stuff.
But very well done. Mm-hmm.
Oh, I didn't mention another bombshell. We get a flashback of Alice at the beach with her parents, and then Alice and her dad get on a boat.
This is in the book. Mm-hmm.
And, like, take the boat out to the middle of, like, the ocean or wherever they are. And her dad pushes her off the boat, trying to drown her.
He gets mad, though, because he's trying to take pictures of her, and he's asking her to do the hula hoop at the boat's... or pretend to do the hula so he can take cute pictures of her, and she can't because the boat is rocking back and forth too much, so she disappoints him.
Which reminded me of that movie Leave Her to Heaven.
Gene Tierney, yep. Yeah, that's such a good scene.
This dad ain't shit. He is a monster. But a couple of other scenes that I thought were fun. There's a moment when one of the older ladies, one of the flowers, she's trying to show Alice, like, how they like the different kinds of flowers and what they mean, and when you put them together what they mean. And she makes a bouquet for like a wedding and says like, this is the perfect bouquet for a wedding that's doomed to end. Mm-hmm. And that little girl's looking at her like
and then another woman's like, don't they all end that way?
Yeah. Wow. Mm-hmm. This really this was a good one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm excited to see how it goes.
Do you have anything else you want to say?
Not yet.
Hit the thanks button. Listen to our podcast. Bye.